Hey guys, I'm Dr. Ayala here with Synapse. I'm a board certified family medicine physician. I am also the owner and founder of AFP Aesthetics and Wellness, which is a weight loss peptide and hormone clinic, as well as a med spa. Um, I work full time in family practice during the day, and I am a business owner. What about you?
What about me? I'm Quentin Torres. Everybody calls me Q. I'm the founder and CEO of Velani, Velani, a tech company that is essentially about your private life, your personal life, and operating system for your life. So go look us up on the Apple Store. I also own a consulting company where we build software applications, different things like that. And today we got a few different topics we're going to get to. And number one is I don't know if I would call it, Dr. Ayala, a hot topic, but it has definitely been the cream of crop in the past few years, which is longevity. And I would
I
love to
think
hear
it's
from you.
definitely a hot topic. Yeah, I think
Okay,
it's definitely a hot topic.
let's
Um,
dive in.
so yeah, I mean, I guess where do you want to, there's a lot of avenues I think that are out there. Like, there's the medicine side of it, like peptides and hormones and stuff like that.
Well, let's
Where do
begin
you want to
with
start with longevity?
I want to start with, from your perspective, what is longevity? Let's define the word first.
So I think how it's being used is living long life, but a quality long life. So optimizing your health so that you can go into your 60s, 70s, and 80s and still have vitality, still be not be frail, still be able to do the daily things and things you want to enjoy. Um, and so it's not just living long, but it's quality of that length of time.
I would share that same perspective. When you say longevity and you hint on 60s, 70s, 80s, is there benefits prior to that? Your 30s, late 30s, 40s, early 50s?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's just like everything that you do. So hopefully start that as early as you can with the intention of, I would say that's where the aging process you really see it is 60s, 70s, and 80s. If you haven't done a lot of that beforehand, you may not have a quote longevity 60s, 70s, and
Mm.
80s lifestyle, you know. But so I think a lot of it is 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds doing these longevity protocols with the intent that when they get to 60, 70, 80, they have as much vitality as they do when they're 40, you know?
So I had taken my girls to a birthday party, and this ties into
Mm.
longevity. And it was a skating, rollerblading longevity party. And so I decided
Oh.
to get out there on the skate floor. And I found out very
Mhm.
quickly when I started bouncing off the floor like a basketball that my longevity protocols had not been properly in place. I had skipped a few
Yeah,
steps.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's amazing. And I think a lot of people get to their like, 30s or especially 40s, and then they're like, oh, I can't do anything. Like everything hurts, you know? Um, and it's crazy. I also see it a lot in my clinic. I mean, just being a family practice or any physician, just seeing like 30 patients a day, right? I mean, that's 120 people a week I get to see. So um, I have a lot of data to collect.
Mm.
And so sometimes I'll see 60-year-olds and they are like 90-year-olds.
No
Like
kidding.
they like their health, their frailty, um, everything is just aged. And then today, I had a 90-year-old man and he got up out of the chair like in 2 seconds. He walked, he like had energy. Like he was healthier than some of my 60-year-olds.
Wow, that's
That
a
doesn't,
30-year difference.
hmm and you just sometimes see like age truly is a number and it's really how you've taken care of yourself over these years. Um, what I would like to touch on though is when it comes to longevity, especially the talk around longevity, is a lot of people are talking about peptides, medicines. Um, you know, uh, I see it tons like this is the stack of peptides that you need to be on to optimize this and blah, 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 you know, and it's all from like influences and stuff like that. Okay. And I like peptides. I'm a fan, so I'm not bashing it, but I do feel like that it's very much of a sales pitch right
Mm,
now, for people to make money, and I don't think that's the foundation of longevity. Um,
interesting. Yeah, let's dive deep into that. What can you? So, man, gosh, deadgummit. I have a question about peptides that I want to ask, but really quick. Do you see peptides going into the direction of more medication or more supplement based? The way we treat, and what I mean is, you go to a doctor for medication, you go to Walmart for protein, right?
I here's right now, I think it's more supplement based. What I hope is that it's more medication based, and here's why. So tesamorelin, sermorelin, ipamorelin, those are growth hormones.
Mm,
Okay. That really, I mean, it affects your pituitary. It affects um, other molecules within your body and how those molecules respond. A lot of the people selling these peptides or whatever, sure, you can look up the benefits, but they have never studied these pathways. They have no idea what it all affects, and they don't really care about your side effects. They see the
right,
benefits, but and that should be something that's monitored by a physician. Like growth hormone isn't something to mess around with. There
right,
is a safe way to dose. Same thing with testosterone. Like testosterone is a controlled substance, and it's not really like it's not like it's addictive or anything like
right.
that,
Nor can you get
but
it
it's
at a
highly
nutrition store.
abused. Yeah, but it's highly abused, and like I need to monitor people's blood count on that. Blood gets very thick on it, and I have to send people for phlebotomy. Or sometimes I had a patient who was getting it off the street. I mean, his estrogen levels were through the roof. Um, and
Wow.
I get it. Like some people will still go get labs at any lab, like any lab test now or whatever, and self treat, but there's no regulation of the substances that you're getting if it's not a medication base, you know?
Right.
Um, and
Do we know, Dr.
and it
Ayala,
fixed
do we know any of the
uh-huh.
long term, has there been any long term studies or any long term, results based on these different types of peptides that people are promoting and taking?
Some of them, yes, some of them, no. So like tesamorelin is FDA approved for visceral fat loss. It's a growth hormone. It's actually approved for HIV patients.
Okay.
It helps them with visceral fat loss. And we use it, it helps stimulate muscle growth, but also, yes, visceral fat. So, fat around, if you don't know what visceral fat is, that is like the internal fat that's around your organs that's kind of damaging that. Sorry if you hear my dogs in the background.
We love dogs.
um, and so Sermorelin is one, that's also been approved. It's a growth hormone. Semaglutide and tirzepatide, you know, they are peptides. And here's what I'll say, this is my spiel on GLP-1s when I'm counseling a patient, okay, um, is, it slows down your GI tract. Because of that, you feel full faster. And then it turns off a lot of the food noise. It turns off the signals in your brain that cause you to overeat, whether that's because you're stressed, because you're bored, emotion eating, whatever it may be. And I think that's the only part that's really pushed in social media and sales. But here's
Right.
what else I say. because it slows down your GI tract, the most common side effects are nausea and constipation, which most people get used to. But there's also there is a small risk, but serious risk of pancreatitis. In my field, and because I um, have malpractice insurance and I'm a medical physician, I have to counsel on the benefits and the risks. No salesperson has to do that. And that's not, and I don't stop there with the risks because there are more risks. Usually, the pancreatitis and stuff is if you're dosing, I find it most often if people dose too high, too fast. And you don't know how a lot of these places, well, they don't know how to dose. They're not following up on the patients they're selling it to because it's just a sale.
Right.
Um, and then also, some people have gone blind from it. There is certain diabetics that increases their risk for diabetic retinopathy, which people have literally lost their vision from it.
Right.
And that's something I have to caution people on. So, like, do I think peptides should be medically managed? Absolutely, I do. Because that's the thing. Like, when it's just a sale of something, then when it just becomes a sale, then that person they care about the sale. They don't care about truly treating a condition and monitoring a condition and the outcomes or what's best
Right.
maybe for that individual patient.
Right. That makes a lot of
Because
sense.
lack of knowledge is scary. Like you should be, I'm not saying I know everything, but when people sell peptides and think it's safe or 100% safe, then if somebody says, oh, these are safe, nothing will happen, like run for the hills because that's someone who doesn't know what can go wrong.
Oh, wow. That actually makes
You know?
sense. It makes a lot of sense. I want to highlight, I know we'll go back to the longevity protocol, though I will say, when you were speaking about the piece about the hunger, anytime I hear
Mm-hmm.
anyone who's talking about any of these peptides, they highlight the effect of how much they didn't realize not having that feeling of being hungry, like how that's like such a motivator. It's you're not
Mm-hmm.
you smell the food, but you're not craving the food. You're not sitting there thinking like, oh, if I could just have, more food or this and that. Like it just completely shuts down, and that is like one of the biggest highlights I've heard. I've also heard some of these other risks. I know some people who sling around retatrutide. That's been another one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to hear your thoughts on why you believe it should actually be medicated. And that's because as much as there are benefits, there are risks involved.
Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, there are other things, on the market. I mean, people are going to make the thing like, well, you can get vitamin D, you know, over
Right.
the counter. I mean, vitamin D is not something that's being abused, that has
Correct.
abuse potential as well. And I think a lot of these peptides have abuse potential.
Right.
So that's another reason. I mean, can vitamin D have side effects? Absolutely. I've had people with toxic levels of vitamin D. St. John's wort, if somebody's taking that and they're on warfarin or they're on anything that's processed through the liver, they can either make medications that they're on stronger,
Mm-hmm.
more potent, or less potent.
Right.
And that can be quite dangerous for people. So there are dangers to even supplements over the counter that people don't realize.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like this is in between this tier of supplements, and then you have your extreme medications. This seems to fall
Mhm.
someone in that upper tier range where it's like, no, you definitely want some medical oversight. This isn't something you should try to do on your own
And
out
I
of a
think
backyard kitchen.
and that's what the what's his name? Um, oh my gosh,
Dr.
I'm hitting
Andrew
a blank.
Huberman?
Not the health guy. Mega Health Maha,
Oh,
that whole health
Robert
movement. What's his name?
RFK.
No, RFK. Thank you. Like that one. Like
Yeah.
he's actually pushing for that because, like, yeah, a lot of it is being abused right now. And so while some of the stuff maybe needs a little bit more controlled. There is research on it, but maybe it's not in the most controlled settings. Or, I think if it was under physicians only, one, data would be able to be collected that's a lot more solid on these peptides. Um, but also, people, I mean, it would be safely overseen, because there
Correct.
are complications from peptides that you won't hear about
Correct.
because,
Well, it's not the selling point. So, rewinding back just a little bit,
yeah.
you said that that's not the first place to begin for longevity. What
Hmm.
or where is the first place for longevity?
I mean, it's going to be the basics. It's going to be your nutrition, and it's going to be more important. Well, not more importantly, but very importantly, muscle mass. So, muscle mass is the number one predictor of longevity and how well you age. So, if you have a lot of muscle mass on you, and strength, it determines how well, like if you were to go into the hospital because of an illness or something, your body would recover quicker. You are fit, you're physically fit, that your body can handle more, essentially, and your frailty goes down. Okay. So, that's the first thing. Second thing is protein intake and nutrition around that, to build that muscle, to fuel your body in the right way. Because I mean, you can take all the peptides you want, right? You can take, oh, for recovery, you can take BBC 157, or for immunity boosting, you could take glutathione. For energy, you can take NAD. You can inject that stuff into your body all day long. But if you don't have the foundation, then those things are not going to be beneficial to you. Those things are adjuncts. They're optimization. Those are to optimize longevity. But you need to be doing the foundational things first. It's kind of like, I know you're into cold plunging, okay? But for a while there was this fad of cold plunging, like lose fat, it can help you burn fat and boost your metabolism. Okay. And while that may be true, okay, when it was applied to the general population, a lot of people don't exercise and don't eat right. And so that cold plunge is not going to make any significant difference to their metabolism.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas
So,
working out would,
would, yeah.
you know. But
If you look
take
at my
a
day one video on the cold plunge, today I filmed day
yeah.
37. I haven't
Hmm.
done well, I guess the last 3 days I actually announced my weight loss
Yeah.
challenge for the last 60 days. Nonetheless, the first 30 days I didn't change anything. I lost
Yeah.
zero weight. There's no metabolism was different. The benefits
Hmm.
are not that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there may be other benefits to it, but when it comes to like what it was boasted for. Now, if you're looking at a collegiate athlete or an Olympic athlete, or somebody that's a very high performer, and then they're trying to get that 1% better, that 2% better, sure, maybe that ice bath is going to help them, for that, or that red light therapy, or, whatever thing is, there's some things that optimize 30%, 40%, which is exercising,
Right.
nutrition, the foundational stuff. And then there's things that optimize in small percentages, that is, you're only going to notice that difference if you're already a top performer.
Right. I would also say the removal of processed sugar, like added sugar.
Oh,
That
that's
was the
huge.
big one for me. Before I did the cold plunge challenge, I did 90 days of no sugar. And it was very difficult, not just because of the sweets. I love sweets, especially at nighttime. For me, it was really the breads and the starches and the whole 9 yards. However, removing added sugar, after about 17, 18 days, the difference of mental clarity, I was able to focus for 4 to 5, 6 hours at a time. My sleep was far better. I've always had really bad sleep. And I've also had bad
Hmm.
sleeping habits. Like I can stay up late and wake up early, like clockwork, no matter what. Nonetheless, removing the added sugar, I would say that's more important than doing like a cold plunge, than doing this red light therapy.
Hmm.
Just the removal of something
Absolutely.
so people don't understand how.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a dopamine kick. It's addictive. It's just, you know, and it's terrible for you.
Would you say
Um,
like I didn't mean to cut you off, but would you say that too much sugar could be the earlier causes of your diabetes, of
oh, 100%.
some
It's
of these
all
other
sugar.
diseases?
It's all sugar. Really, sugar is the driver, even of like fatty liver and fatty. And I'm not saying carb, and I'm not specifying. I mean, sugar is a carb. I'm not saying carbs are bad.
Correct.
I'm saying sugar is bad. Is sugar in fruit bad? No. To no, fruit is not bad for you, but processed refined sugar, sodas, and the quantity that people consume it in, that is bad. About, I want to say, the statistic may be a little wrong, but um, maybe about 30% of the American population has something called MASLD. It used to be called non alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's now called metabolic associated um, syndrome, metabolic associated liver disease. Sorry, yes. Metabolic associated liver disease. And it's basically fat around the liver. And most of the people in the United States who have fatty liver is from MASLD, and it mimics
Hmm.
alcoholic fatty liver. It's
Oh,
the
no
same
kidding.
process.
Wow.
So in alcoholism, you basically shock, like, mess up your metabolism so much that fat deposits around the liver. Okay. And the risk of that is if you keep damaging that liver, then that fat and that liver injury gets cirrhosed. Now,
Mm,
the liver can repair, but once it's cirrhosed, it's dead. You can't correct that, right? So you stop drinking, you take drinking away, the liver can repair. Same thing with sugar. And even skinny people will have um, fatty liver. And it's really, have you ever seen people that are like skinny fat?
mm-hmm.
You
Oh
know,
yeah,
so
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of people like that, and they often tend to hold a little bit of their fat around their midsection, and that's actually one of the highest, like a higher risk factor for disease. um, and so I have a lot of patients that are not very big, but they have fatty liver, and it's all the diet. It's the sugar. They've messed up their
Yeah.
metabolism so much, and that's the number one reason in the United States for fatty liver,
That makes a lot of sense. It
sugar.
was when you turn around the labels and you see 17 grams added sugar per serving, 15
Hmm.
grams added sugar. It's just even, by the way, if you go to like Whole Foods, Natural Grocers, Trader Joe's, you'll see all these what you would consider healthy options. And then you turn a
Hmm.
yogurt over and it's got 12 grams added sugar.
Yeah.
It's kind of
And you
wild.
go you go to like another, like I was in England a couple of months ago, and you turn over the ingredients of it, and like orange juice is just orange juice. In the United States, it's like orange juice with these 10 other things that you have no idea. Not to mention some added sugar, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
that's funny.
and I think a lot of it has to do, it's hard to undo, but the industrial age and mass production and
Right.
laws as well, like what farmers or producers have to have ingredient wise. I have no idea really what all it goes into, but it wasn't like an overnight thing why we have,
Well, if you go back to World
and
War
it's
II,
cheap.
yeah, if you go back to World War II, that time, the 30s, 40s, we were trying to solve, because back then you were still hunting for most of your food, right? So we were
Mhm.
trying to solve the problem of mass population eating, not
Yeah,
starving as a country. And so we did
exactly.
that. I actually don't think it was as ill intentioned as, it's kind of been thrown out there. I just think we
No, no,
solved
no, I
it.
don't think so.
And then you're like,
Well,
man,
that's what
we
I'm
eat a
saying.
lot, you know, we like things
It's so
sweeter. Yeah,
nuanced.
correct.
It's very nuanced, and it's hard to fix when, you know, it's got so many moving parts. But yeah, so but definitely, and just going back to longevity a little bit, with the peptides, another thing, right? As I say, like I'm a big fan of peptides, and I prescribe them to patients, and I make custom plans for them. The GLP-1s are another custom plan, and there can be a lot of benefits and there can be a lot of negatives. And so when I counsel patients, it doesn't matter if you lose weight. Sorry. It doesn't matter if you lose weight with a peptide or without a peptide, your body wants to lose muscle.
Hmm.
Okay. And so GLP-1s have this bad rap, like people lose so much muscle. Well, yes, because a lot of people are getting it dosed incorrectly. They're getting on it. They don't exercise, and they're losing weight too fast. They're dropping 10, 20 pounds in, you know, a month. Um, and so what I counsel my patients on is you want to exercise a minimum of 30 minutes 3 times a week to maintain the muscle mass that you have on the GLP-1. I still want a safe weight loss goal so that we keep it off, which is depending. If I have a really, really like obese patient, 2 pounds a week would be fine. But usually it's between like a half a pound and 1.5 pounds a week, which is a safe, slow process to lose. I also still want them eating enough to support their muscle mass, right? I just don't want them overeating. That medication should be there to, because a lot of people will eat really healthy and then have a cheat meal or, mess up their diet because it's really hard to be perfect for the amount of time it takes you to lose weight.
Right.
That's where the medication is used correctly.
To
It's
supplement
used
help.
to supplement help. So you're hitting your macros, you're hitting your targets. I don't want somebody not eating or not getting their protein in, And then a lot of people say, oh, well, people who maybe aren't counseled on this, they'll stop it. And then you hear a lot of things like, oh, people gain all their weight back and they gain even more than when they do it. Well, yeah, if you don't protect your muscle mass while you're on that, guess what you're doing? You're lowering your metabolism
Right.
because muscle needs energy to exist. So if you're starving your muscle and you're losing muscle, then technically when you get off of this medicine, you will turn food into fat quicker because your body doesn't need as much energy because it doesn't have as much muscle mass.
Right.
So I
And
counsel my patients on
it's
that.
considered a bounce back in the wrong direction. Okay.
Exactly.
We're
Exactly.
so hot take because we're T minus a few minutes. Hot
Yeah.
take on keto.
Not a fan. And here's why. There's a place for it. Actually, in like seizure patients and stuff, 100%. Like it can actually help with epileptic seizures and epilepsy. Can you lose weight on keto? Absolutely, you can. And it comes down to calories in versus calories out. Um, Here's why I don't like it. It's not usually a lifestyle change. From a weight loss perspective, it's not a lifestyle change. Most people can't do that for the rest of your life. And I tell people, like, if you're going to eat that way for the rest of your life, do it. But here's what else: it's really not healthy for your heart. Like, it's not a healthy way to eat when it comes to other things, like just besides weight loss. Now, there is a right, you could technically do it the right way. You could
Not
do it
dirty
the right
keto,
way.
but like a really healthy keto, vegetables and meat for the most part.
Sure, meat and then like avocado and eggs and like good fats. But let's
Yes.
be honest, like a lot of people promoting keto are like, look at this bacon on my steak.
Hey,
You know,
Donna, I
it's like,
have I have a friend who does keto, and every weekend he drinks an 18 pack of Michelob Ultra. I'm like, how does that fit into keto?
it's not. It's
It's
all
not.
carb.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, so that's the problem with it. I mean, if you did it right, sure, absolutely. You know, but really, I'm not a fad diet person. I'm a macros in, macros out. Get your protein,
So you believe the body
in, and
should
then
run off of glucose, carbs,
I
glucose.
mean, I
That should
think
be your
we
fuel
need it,
source.
right? Absolutely. And I think there's a healthy amount. Now, I really like this app, just to go into like more of a tech side of it. I'm sure you've heard of MyFitnessPal,
Hmm.
but there's this another one called Carbon Diet Coach that I really like by Lane Norton. He's a nutritionist, PhD, um, excellent nutrition advice. Anyways, he developed this app, and so what it is it's pretty good at giving you your macros, and it optimizes your protein, and then you get to pick if you're a carb eater, eat more. Like, it allows you
Oh, that's
to
cool.
use whatever calories, like, okay, this is how like 400 of my calories in the day are protein, let's say. So that, and then let's just say I have another 1,000 calories left over. I can choose how much I want that to be carbs and how much I want to be fat. So if I really don't like a lot, like a fat person, then I'll lower that because I love carbs. That's what I gravitate towards.
Toast.
It
Yeah.
does it does still limit you because you do need a healthy amount of fat still. I mean, you have cholesterol, right? That is around your cell membranes and stuff like that. And your body does still need glucose as an energy source.
Right.
Um, so, I mean, as far as like a diet for health, so the macros are like for weight loss. But as far as a health diet, I mean, really, it's just the Mediterranean diet. It's lots of protein, lean protein, fish, chicken. Um, it doesn't really promote beef because it's higher in cholesterol, but lean meat once or twice a week is fine. Um, Whole grains. So carbs are good, but like whole grain carbs, low glycemic index carbs, oatmeal, quinoa, lentils, things like that. And then your healthy fats, your olive oil, your eggs, your avocados, and then fruits and veggies. And it's basically just not processed. I mean, it's just like a natural diet, but it's got everything you need in it. And I mean, when it comes to weight loss, when I was training to do that bodybuilding show, I mean, I was eating a ton of carbs. Carbs are not bad for you.
Was your carbs over your protein intake when you were doing that?
For a lot of the time. Now, when I was like getting really down, like cutting to an unhealthy body fat, I think my carbs were really low. And so was my fat. My fat was really low. So I wasn't even on high fat. Um,
Yeah, we call
but
that part starvation, where you're eating wind and drinking air.
pretty much, I mean, my protein stayed high. My protein stayed over 100 grams, but I think my carbs got down to like 46 grams of carbs and like 30, I don't know. I don't really remember, but like 30 grams of fat or something. And then right before the show, I was eating like 260 grams of carbs to fill out my muscles, like the
Wow.
day before. Uh-huh. And carbs are not bad for you. Fat is not bad for you. It's when it comes to weight loss, it's calories in versus calories out. When it comes to heart health, it's the whole food diet. Don't
So
eat crap.
a topper, a topper on this episode. These kids, Dr. Ayala, in high school, senior year in high school, and then went to his freshman year of college, started an app called CAL AI. Have you
Mm-hmm.
heard of it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so same type of app you're talking about, Chronometer, MyFitnessPal, the one you just mentioned. And essentially
Okay.
they built AI into it. You could take a picture,
Oh, cool.
yeah, you could take a picture of your plate and it would automatically calculate the macros from your meal. And so instead of having to scan, the tube of
Oh,
protein without having to weigh
yeah.
your protein, and it was within 98% accuracy. Nonetheless,
Really?
oh yeah, listen to how wild this story is. So these kids are 18, 19 years old who started this app. In
Yeah.
2025, they finished the year at $30 million in revenue. In the month of January, they did $6 million of revenue. So they were on track to close 50 plus million in revenue in 2026. They sold
Mhm.
to MyFitnessPal for over $150 million at the age of
So
19.
where are they now? Like, how come that is not integrated into MyFitnessPal?
Because so when you start building a product like MyFitnessPal, the amount of architecture, the way you have to see it is we built a house. And if somebody comes
Mm.
along down the street and they build this new modern house, you can't just go and rip up your beams and you're literally tearing down your whole infrastructure. So MyFitnessPal has users who are very used to that experience. And so essentially a company like that, they're like, okay, clearly these guys got it right. We can probably integrate some of this into MyFitnessPal, but people like MyFitnessPal. People also like Cal.ai. So we're just going to acquire them and allow the users to choose which one they want. I would
I
assume,
see.
if I had to guess, I would say over the next 4 years, they would migrate everything over into MyFitnessPal. But Cal AI, it's got a massive following. I mean, doing $50 million in revenue a year is no joke. So,
I think it would make people a lot more compliant because I mean I count macros, but like God, it's exhausting,
it's very
you know.
exhausting.
And now I'm at the point that I like just eat the same thing every day because I don't want to sit there plugging my food in.
Yeah,
But or weekends, I'm like, man, I don't care. I'm not going to count. And luckily, I have an extensive background, so I'm good at just eyeballing or whatever. But a
right.
lot of people are not. And so I think that would be a huge like compliance benefit when it
Yeah.
comes to patients learning about nutrition or tracking their macros and also not like cheating on it
Or taking
because it's
picture of
easy
half of
like
their plate.
yeah. Well, I mean, they're like, oh, this is a tablespoon of peanut butter.
Yeah.
I always tell people like overestimate. If you think if you're guessing and you think it's a tablespoon, like think it's 2 tablespoons or whatever.
Okay. Well,
But
look,
yeah,
that's the pod.
okay, I like it. I like it.
I'll see you next week.
Uh, See you next week on Synapse. Come and join us.
Come and join us, everybody.